on Dr. Phil.
New details in the case of the beautiful missing woman in Aruba.
Robin Gardner vanished on vacation.
You went in to snorkel together. You came out alone. Why did you leave her behind?
I didn't just leave her behind. See, we're just perpetuating the same nonsense.
Do you want me to not ask you the question?
Why was her friend the prime suspect?
Did you kill Robin Gardner?
Absolutely not. There's no doubt in my mind she drowned. It happened to two other people just afterwards as well.
Both of their bodies were found.
Plus,
Robin's sister has waited 3 years to sit face-to-face with Gary.
a dramatic confrontation.
Robin would have never gone snorkeling. I know that you're telling a lie.
You took out insurance where if she gets killed, you get paid.
I see what you're doing. You're focusing on the sinister part.
Do you really think that's an inappropriate question for me to ask you? Stop playing the victim here.
I am the victim.
It was a dream vacation. Palm trees, warm island breezes, and miles of sandy white beaches. A beautiful young blonde and her wealthy older friend on a 5-day Caribbean getaway. But things were not as they seemed, because Robin Gardner and Gary Giordano were not a couple. In fact, Robin's boyfriend of 2 years was sitting at home, totally unaware that his lover had jetted off to Aruba with a man she met online. A man who took out a $1.5 million insurance policy on her just days before she left. They spent their first day in paradise exploring the island and dancing the night away under the stars. On the second day, they slept in and then set out for a late lunch, some sunbathing and snorkeling on a deserted beach. But that afternoon, 2 people went into the water and only one came out, Gary. Robin Gardner's disappearance made huge headlines, and Gary was the prime suspect.
There are new bombshell details in the case of the beautiful missing woman in Aruba.
A beautiful young American tourist, Robin Gardner, heads to an Aruban vacation with so-called traveling companion, Gary Giordano, and she's never seen again.
Giordano told police Robin was swept out to sea while they were snorkeling together.
Joining me now is Robin Gardner's boyfriend, Richard Forrester. You had thought Robin was in Florida visiting her family. You had no idea she was in Aruba?
That's right. I'm as much at a quandary as everybody else.
And a new twist in the disappearance in Aruba, Gary Giordano is the beneficiary of her $1.5 million accidental death policy, a policy he himself took out.
This is huge. This is the motive that they believe is behind all of what has taken place here. These are, of course, photos that are taken at the Rum Reef Bar, and you are watching the last time we will see Robin Gardner. They had a very extensive search of the southern part of the island and found nothing.
Police have arrested Gary Giordano as a suspect in her disappearance.
Belligerent! That's how Aruban officials are describing Gary Giordano's attitude as he sits in jail.
Gary Giordano was detained for months while Aruban authorities investigated the disappearance, but was eventually released.
Cops now believe beautiful Robin Gardner is dead.
To this day, Robin's disappearance remains a mystery. Well, Gary is here today, and he's here because he wants to prove his innocence. And for the first time, he will come face to face with one of Robin's family members to answer the hard questions. But first, Gary explains what he says happened on the day Robin vanished.
On August 2nd, that fateful day, we woke up around noon and we had a morning drink, vodka and orange juice, and we headed out. So we got to the Rum Reef Hotel and we had lunch and then paid the bill and we left. So we made our way down to Baby Beach. The water's only a couple hundred yards from the restaurant. I said, do you want to jump in the water? She just got up and started heading toward the water. She was in her bare feet. I still had my sneakers on. She had a snorkel mask, I had a snorkel mask. We got into the water. She's in front of me. So as we're going, I could tell we're getting in deeper water. It wasn't a dramatic drop off. I could just tell at some point it was deeper. It was time to turn around. So I grabbed her, that would be her left leg, and gave her a tug. She turned and looked at me and I pointed in. She acknowledged. So I turned, and that's when it all went bad for me. Now I have my shoes on, and now I've got a problem. I have 2 boat anchors on my feet now, and I have a problem swimming, right? And I realize we're a lot farther from shore than I thought we were. I'm starting to work at a little panic of myself. I'm not thinking about her because she didn't have shoes on. So there was no thought in my mind that she was in any kind of trouble. When I hit that shore, you feel like your heart is just gonna split out of your chest. And then I turned and looked, and she was gone.
At this point, Gary says he got out of the water and ran 200 yards back to the Rum Reef Bar and Grill to look for help.
I came back around to the restaurant and nobody was there. I heard some people talking and then I turned and asked the women, can they call emergency? Because I don't know the number there. Coast Guard showed up, helicopters showed up, police showed up, search began. I told them what happened, her shoes were there, her dress was there, and now it's nighttime. One of the Coast Guard said that they're not needed here anymore that evening. Hardly had any sleep. Next day, I met with the U.S. consulate. She said, do you want to call Robin's mother and let her know what's going on? The first response from the mother was, did the alcohol kill her? And she said, you went in the water during shark feeding time. It just seemed a little cold. When I met with the mother, I said, hey, I'll stay here as long as you want in Aruba. She said to me, that's okay, you can leave. My cousin is coming in. She's going to be my moral support. I went to the police station for my final interview. I told them I was leaving Aruba. I'm going home now. A few hours later, they arrested me in the airport. In Aruba, they can pretty much keep you as a suspect behind bars for 116 days, basically 4 months. Interrogated me over 60 times. They were just trying to frame me for whatever they can come up with. They were charged with a crime, no evidence of a crime.
Okay, Gary, let's just jump right into this. Tell me, what's your goal in being here today?
Sure, my goal is to really communicate the truth. There's been a lot of misreporting of the facts, and I just want to set the record straight.
All right, so do you think that because of what's been misreported, as you say, that people have the wrong impression, that they think you're guilty of killing this girl?
Absolutely. Right.
Did you kill Robin Gardner?
Absolutely not, no.
Did you cause her death?
No.
Do you feel guilty about the fact that she is missing?
I feel regretful that we even went to that island.
You guys were down there not as a couple, but as friends.
That's incorrect. That's another totally misreported
Well, that's
fact.
why I'm asking you.
No, we were a couple. We were friends. We were intimate friends. She dated other people.
She was an escort, correct?
She had, from what she told me, she had done that before.
Uh-huh. But was she being paid to be on this trip?
No.
So,
no money. Matter of fact, she paid for her own airfare. Uh-huh. And the trip was free. It was all points for from the hotel. So
how well did you know her?
I knew her for 2 years. I knew her very well.
I understand that the day of her disappearance, there has been speculation that you may have put something in her drink, that you may have drugged her in some way. I assume you want to clear that up.
Sure, clear that up. It's complete media hype just to make a story up. Mm-hmm. The book that I've written has photographs of the cups that they took from the beach, her dress, her shoes, my shirt, all have been sent to Holland for testing. None of that is true.
You went snorkeling on Nanki Beach?
Yeah.
You're a scuba diver, right?
I'm a licensed scuba diver.
You're a licensed scuba diver. Why did you pick Nanki Beach? Because I've not been there, but I've looked at it very closely, and it looks really rocky and rough and hard to get in and out of.
So we didn't go snorkeling. It wasn't like this is a snorkel trip. It was like we're going to hang at the beach, relax, a little way from where the people are at Baby Beach to be a little private. And then at the end, we decided, hey, do we want to jump in the water and look at the fish, feed the fish real quick? And we did.
Mm-hmm. And you had mask and snorkels.
Yes.
Now, the thing that I'm curious about, because I'm also a licensed scuba diver, I've made hundreds of dives all over the world, and your fins are your friend. You went in to snorkel without your fins, and in fact, with shoes on, and she went in barefooted in kind of a rocky, craggy area. That seems totally illogical to me. And as it turns out, it was a bad decision,
It's just
right?
twisted. Well, and several other people have died there afterwards.
Well, you say it's twisted, but it did turn out to be a bad decision because you said you got out there and your feet were heavy and you...
Right. So we were just going to dip in, right? Just feed the fish, snorkel. You've done that before. You've gotten in the water, stuck your face in and gone into 4 feet of water and kept come out. That's what we did.
Sure.
Right. This wasn't an excursion where we were planning on going snorkeling for an hour.
Well, how did you wind up in deep water then?
Current, wind.
You guys were in the water as buddies. And you went in together, you came out alone. Why did you leave her behind? But it didn't occur to you to put your fins back on and go back in.
He asked me 3 times about this, then I answered as best I could answer. I can answer a third time, but it's the same answer.
You keep saying that you want to explain your
I'll
actions,
say
but then when I ask you about it,
completely
you get defensive about it. I don't understand why.
Later, Robin Gardner's sister confronts Gary Giordano for the first time.
I think he's the snake and a devil.
You're judging me. You weren't there.
You are pure
come on.
evil.
Why did you leave her behind?
I didn't leave her behind. I turned and had trouble. I had no thought that she was in danger. If I thought she was in danger, then I would turn to help. I'm the idiot that had the shoes on and went out too far. And now they're absorbed water and they're heavy. So I was the one in trouble. I didn't think she had any trouble. I didn't just leave her behind. See, we're just perpetuating the same nonsense. And
do you want me to not ask you the questions?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm just saying that...
You want me to ask you the questions so you can respond or you don't?
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying that I'm telling you what happened.
Back to being buddies in the water, you went in as two and came back as one. That doesn't seem like a very good buddy system.
It happened to two other people just afterwards as well. Two other Americans, the same thing happened. Husband and wife swimming together at Baby Beach, right? The woman drowned, 48-year-old woman drowned. She drowned 4 weeks after I was released out of prison. An NBA basketball player, a year and 4 days after Robin's drowning, drowned there as well, right in front of his wife.
And why is that? Why do those people do? You're telling me this for a reason.
Well, I'm telling you for a reason.
Say people drown
It's
in this
extremely
area?
dangerous there. I found out when I got back, and it's in the book. I did a lot of research to put this book together. It turns out that they had signs already made with the International Red Cross, with the Aruban government, some other governments. They already had these signs printed saying, big, huge signs saying, riptides, currents, swim at your own risk, wear life vests. They kept them in a warehouse, okay? Robin would still be here if that sign was up because we wouldn't have gotten in the water. The American woman, too, and the other man would have been alive.
So American woman and an NBA player. Both of their bodies were found, but Robin wasn't found.
That's correct.
Why do you think that is?
My understanding is a lot of people, natives and other people that have come from Venezuela to come illegally to come over to Aruba, that are dropped off there at Baby Beach, is the southern part of the island. When they swim to shore, their bodies don't show up, but it's just not reported. You can't tell me that there's nobody else, nobody in Aruba has ever gone missing at sea.
Now, once you're in there, you're on ground, you're safe, you turn around, she's gone.
Gone.
Why not get your fins, your mask, go get her? You are the most immediate trained help there. You are a certified scuba diver with gear in your car, fins and mask. Why didn't you go back in the water after your
The same
friend?
reason why I called the Coast Guard, and none of them got in the water. I stayed there till dark, and not one single person got in that water.
You knew that hours later.
No,
I'm asking you at the moment.
It's dangerous. I'll tell you why. Because I just came out. I fought for my life to get back. I'm exhausted. I'm completely exhausted. My heart's pounding out of my chest, exhausted. It's not going to do her or me any good to jump back in that water, right? So it's time to go get help. That's what I did. It's a choice.
Did you
and
scream?
I made that choice.
Did you scream for help at the time?
There was nobody to scream to. So I ran to the restaurant to get help.
But it didn't occur to you to put your fins back on, get your mask and snorkel, and you're tired, your heart is pounding, you're exhausted. That didn't occur to you to go back in with proper
You asked me 3 times about this thing. I answered as best I can answer. I can answer a 3rd time, but it's the same answer. That's the choice I made. Based on my physical being, that's the choice I made.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you because I'm not understanding your mindset at the time. You keep saying that you want to explain your actions, but then when I ask you about it, you get defensive about it. I don't understand why.
I'll explain it again for the same way again.
Well, I'm not dumb. I can follow you. I promise I'll keep up.
When I was there, as exhausted as I was, right, I decided to go back in the water was not an option. It was not an option.
All right, so you go to the restaurant at that point, and you said it was full of cars and people there. That was when you left, right? When you got back...
Storm shutters are closed. It's sealed up like a tuna can.
Yeah.
Right.
So they've buttoned up and gone home. You went the last place you saw people.
Right.
We'll be right back. There were rumors of sex trafficking and that you ran with a less than desirable crowd. And later...
You're focusing on the killing part or the death part. That's kind of... I see what you're doing.
Well, she's missing. But stop playing the victim here.
I am the victim. So this whole experience has been horrific. The media misrepresented what I said. Do I think Robin drowned? There's no doubt in my mind she drowned. I didn't do anything wrong, so I don't have a remorseful feeling. I have regret. I have regret I ever landed in Aruba.
We have surveillance footage that was taken at 6:16 p.m. that day. And at this point, you had been out of the water how long, as we're seeing this?
A couple of minutes, I'd say.
So you'd only been out of the water a couple of minutes, but you're not wet by this point. You're not leaving wet marks on the...
That's just ridiculous, right? It's not a cartoon. My shoes are soaking wet. My pants, how can you tell if those are dry or not?
No, I'm saying...
Oh, no. I thought you were making the allegation.
You're not leaving. I didn't see water trail behind you. I don't know.
Right. When the detective showed up, I pulled off my shoes and wringing out my socks, even hours later. So soaking wet shoes, soaking wet socks. Can't see it from a surveillance camera, but... There
were 3 witnesses, right, that you interacted with at that point. Witness statement number 1 was a male, and he says, the guy kept saying, lost her, oh man, and the current must have went with her. I heard my wife ask something about blood. I immediately heard him say, no, that's my girlfriend, I wouldn't kill her. While I was speaking with him, he smelled of alcohol. I think it was vodka, it could also be rum.
As far as I know, vodka you can't smell, but these are just comments somebody's made that are just inaccurate.
Witness 2, another female said, what I thought was strange was that this man was not searching. I noticed he was not panicked. There was a scratch on his throat. The man was under the influence of alcohol because I could smell it.
These are reports that were taken days later after this. The media came and gone, and they're going to get part of this. They're going to get a piece of this story. It's all nonsense.
So you think they were dramatizing this to inject themselves into the story?
And it's repeated in the book how many people have done that.
Okay, so you were not smelling of alcohol at the time?
No.
You didn't have a scratch on your neck?
That's right. You put up that picture right there is just a couple days after. Do you see a scratch on the throat?
No.
And there's a detective the head of detectives, he even wrote on his report that I kept on looking at my watch saying she must be dead by now. I haven't worn a watch in 20 years.
There were rumors of sex trafficking and that you ran with a less than desirable crowd.
That is just spun and spun and spun.
All right, next, Robin's sister has waited 3 years to sit face-to-face with Gary. Plus, why did Gary take out a $1.5 million accident insurance policy on his traveling companion? We'll be right back.
I think this was definitely premeditated murder. Gary has changed his story a million times. I loathe him.
After Gardner's disappearance, Giordano reportedly stood to gain $1.5 million in insurance money through a policy he bought specifically for their 5-day trip.
It's just nonsense. Didn't go out and buy life insurance. Number one, it was not life insurance. It was travel insurance, which I've purchased travel insurance all the time. Travel insurance is a common thing. It's cheap, you get it, and you're covered. I know Robin was not, wealthy, and she had just lost her job, so no health insurance. So, why not get it?
Now, Robin's sister says Gary, well, she just says he's a lying snake who murdered her younger sister. Take a look.
I believe Robin was murdered by Gary Giordano. I think this was definitely premeditated murder. Gary has changed his story a million times. It's very interesting how Robin just disappeared. I think Gary's motives were, first and foremost, money. I loathe him. He's a sinister, sinister man. I think he's a snake.
Okay, now, you have never met nor spoken to Gary, correct?
That's correct.
How do you feel about being here with him today and what's been said so far today?
He didn't get the insurance, so that's why he wrote the book. He's trying to make money. He's sinister.
What she's talking about is you got an insurance policy on Robin for this trip, correct?
That is not correct. We had travel insurance. There's cancellation.
It pays on what circumstance?
There's many. It pays if you collect the cancellation insurance. It pays on that. In this particular case, we didn't do the cancellation, but it pays for accidents, right? It pays for, I think, dental as well. Pays for rent-a-car. So I just clicked those buttons and picked the highest amount. Bing, bing, bing. It took 5 seconds.
Okay, so you had insurance that if something happens to her, where she dies, you get paid, and if something happens to you and you die, your mother gets paid.
No. So when you purchase the insurance, right, you purchase the insurance, and just like any other insurance you purchase, if you don't specify a beneficiary, it goes to your next of kin, okay? In my case, I went ahead and made it clear, because I've purchased travel insurance in the past. I want to make it very clear where it goes to. So we filled out another beneficiary form and said, I want my mother to be the beneficiary. And then I said, hey, do you want to make somebody else? And she says, yes, I want to make you the beneficiary.
So that's a yes? You took out insurance where if she gets killed, you get paid, and if you get killed, your mother gets paid.
Yes.
Well, that's either...
And also, if she broke her arm, there's all kinds of other stuff. You're focusing on the killing part or the death part. That's kind of... I see what you're doing.
Well, she's missing. You see what I'm doing. What is it that I'm doing?
No, you're focusing on the sinister part of just hitting in that one point to say this what he's doing. This is what he clearly did for
Gary,
this reason.
Come on. You are here because you think people believe you are guilty of killing her. So we're talking about taking out insurance for her death. Do you really think that's an inappropriate question for me to ask you?
I'm just making it clear because it was spun out that it was that I went out and purchased life insurance.
Did not. But stop playing the victim here.
I am the victim, and Robin's the victim. There's two victims here.
I am asking you the questions
that you say... I spent 4 months in prison and never been charged. I'm a victim.
I'm asking you the questions you say you want to clarify. I'm giving you a chance to clarify that.
I am.
Amex says the policy that you took out was very unusual.
They're selling insurance. How is it unusual? I don't.
You didn't take out trip cancellation.
Of course not, because it was free. So why purchase cancellation insurance? It would pay out nothing.
When you were talking to them 2 days after her disappearance, you contacted the insurance company about the beneficiary designation form for the policy that you took out. But before revealing that Robin was missing, he took the time to school the representative on how to be a better employee. And here's what you said. You should read the form because the form has a fax number on it. It says mail or fax. Laugh. I did both because this happens quite often. But again, I encourage you so you can be a better American Express employee. The form says it right there, a fax number. And so people are hearing that and saying, look, if I just had a close, intimate friend of mine go missing in the water when I was out there with her, I don't think I would be taking time to be on the phone teaching somebody how to be a better employee.
I'll explain it. So there was how many more pages to this? You just took a segment out. That's nice. So what happened was my lawyer told me...
Is your insinuation that that's cherry picking to make you look bad?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, then add to it. Fix it right now.
I'm just setting it up.
Fix it right now.
So I'll fix it right now. So my attorney told me that, and this is before I was arrested or anything, my attorney said, you need to call your insurance company, let them know about the situation. If Robin's mother's coming in, they could pay for that. See if your insurance company pays for that. Plus, the helicopters, the scuba divers, whoever else, sometimes they are civilians, and they'll charge you for that. So he made a recommendation for me to call. He even put an affidavit that's in the book said he told me to call. And it turns out the Holland Handbook says, I found out later from my attorney, said, the Holland Handbook says the #1 thing you do when a missing person is abroad, you call the authorities, and the second thing you do is you call an insurance company. And just so happens I did exactly that. And then they say that was strange. How is that strange?
Well, we actually have that. In terms of his immediate travel plans, Gary shares this with the rep. I'm going to stay down here until the body is found or until at some point they stop searching. I just want to know what I'm covered for, and I've got to change my hotel, extend that. I've got to change my air flight. I've got to extend my rent-a-car, and I just don't want to start incurring all of these costs to find out I did it wrong and didn't notify you at the proper time.
Right.
What's your reaction to that?
He hightailed it out of there, like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like 2 days later. So obviously he didn't want to extend his stay or extend his rental car. I mean, he got out of there fast. He was trying to, and then authorities got him off the plane and then went from there. That's my understanding.
You were on your scheduled flight to leave.
Yes. That's all inaccurate. I mean, I really feel bad that you have, no, I do. I feel bad that the things you've heard, I would be as angry as you are now. I'm here to say, I wish you'd read the book.
Give it up, Gary.
I wish you'd read the book because you would see that. So let me respond to that. Let me respond to that.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
that book is full of lies
How do you know you didn't
and
read it?
inconsistencies.
Okay, you didn't read it. I know you're upset. I'm sorry. So let me respond to that. I didn't leave.
You're so arrogant.
That was a regularly scheduled flight, and that's when I went on. Actually, the U.S. Consulate also said you should leave that day.
If you cared about Robin, you'd stay there longer and look for her. If it was my husband that was missing, I'd be there for a long time looking for my sister, not just trying to get out of there.
When did you arrive there?
I wasn't there. I'm saying if that were to happen
Your
to me.
sister was there and you didn't, so you would say you would do that, but you didn't do that. You're judging me. You weren't there.
You are pure
come on. I'm not going to say, okay, this will be enough of that.
All right, let's take a break. There are some inconsistencies in Gary's story that Danielle points to. We'll talk about them one by one when we come back and give Gary a chance to clear them up. Why do you think he murdered her?
First of all, Robin would have never gone snorkeling. Robin was very concerned with the way she looked. She had extensions on. And let me tell you, you don't get in the water with hair extensions. So I know that she would not get in that water. I know that you're telling a lie there.
So you don't think she ever got in the water?
No, she never got in the water. When the authorities found him, I heard that just his shoes were wet, not his swimming trunks. And if he was putting his face in the water looking at fish, how come his hair wasn't wet at all either? The story is bogus.
And you're bothered by contradictions, that he told Amex that he was staying until she was found or the search stops, and was worried about charges, but then he was arrested leaving the day that he was scheduled to leave. That you estimated the depth of the water to be 20 feet?
It was over my head. It was over our head, yeah.
The Coast Guard employee says an average of 4.9 to 8.2 feet. They said you reported that the water was so choppy that you couldn't see the ocean floor, so you panicked, and in survival mode, you couldn't help anybody but yourself.
That's what they say. I've never said that.
You said that you did panic and were struggling,
right.
But you didn't say it was choppy, just that there was current.
Right. You know, let me just tell you something that people don't know, is that there's technology down there. There's cell towers everywhere. I had a phone, she had a phone, the car has a GPS. It took them a while to figure it out. We never left that area. They know now. That's why I'm home. That's why they've never charged me with anything.
That's not why they didn't charge you.
Oh.
They didn't charge you because Aruba cannot charge you unless they have a body.
That's not correct.
All right, I want to add somebody to the conversation. Jose Baez is on Polycom from Miami, Florida. He was Gary Giordano's attorney in the Aruba case. What can you add to our understanding about this?
Gary made 6 to 8 statements to law enforcement, going over the facts again and again and again. He was very consistent, every single one, and those statements never went anywhere. Gary had never been to Aruba before in his life, and I think it's incomprehensible for someone to think that he would go down there with the premeditation to commit murder and make a body disappear. But one thing he is not is a killer.
So where do you think Robin Gardner is?
I think she drifted out to sea like many of the other people who drowned in that beach. And it's true, those signs were put up way too late. And the day that Aruba put up those signs, they should have issued an apology to Gary Giordano.
You're shaking your head while Jose's talking.
I'm just appalled. He has lots of inconsistencies in his story. The only reason they let him go is because there's no body in Aruba.
I disagree. That's not, I was there I took 5 or 6 trips down there. You know, I think Gary did what he could for Robin, and he stayed there.
He did what he could by going around that restaurant, going like this, all calm. I tell you, if it was my husband, I'd be screaming. I'd be, quickly finding someone. I'd be going absolutely berserk. I would be staying down in Aruba.
There was not a single time where you went to Aruba for your sister, and you're criticizing Gary, a guy who was a casual friend of your sister, for staying a couple of days.
Was she a casual friend? Was she a business partner? Or was she an intimate partner? I mean, there you go. There's an inconsistency, Who was she?
If that's the worst inconsistency you have to call a man a murderer, I think it's just a bit much.
And the form says, it doesn't say business partner, it says partner.
Well, let's take a break. Next, just 2 years after Robin's disappearance, Gary was arrested again. We're going to find out why when we come back.
I spent 4 months in the worst prison in the world, an outdoor prison, where birds fly into your cell, rainwater floods the floor, no sink, no running water. They put me in solitary confinement, so I couldn't see TV, couldn't read newspapers, couldn't make phone calls. Horrible. No crime, no evidence of a crime, but I spent 4 months in prison fighting for my life.
Now, almost a year later, Gary was in the news again. This time, they said for indecent exposure. Put a context around that.
Sure. This particular day, we pulled in the garage, and the attendant recognized me. This guy started approaching me in the parking garage, talking to me, and I brushed him off. Well, he had later called the police and reported something tawdry going on in the car. The police showed up, knew who I was, saw a camera and a video camera in the car, and that's what they wanted. They wanted to break the Aruba story. So they were just bravado.
Well, they say they caught you naked on a mattress in the back of your car.
Yeah, that's incorrect. They said I was having sex in the car. They never said that. The press said that, right? Mm-hmm. We were changing to go out. And the charges were dropped there, too. The charges were completely dropped.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are several women in your past that have reported you to the police, correct?
Yeah.
There's been a restraining order that was filed because this was from your ex-wife saying that she feared that you were going to physically harm her, and she accused you of domestic violence. True?
True, she did that, yeah.
Yeah, true, she did it. I'm not saying that you agree with her.
Right.
I'm just saying that she did it. Then Connie, your second wife, said that you were very aggressive, that you came home drunk.
So let's start from the top.
Okay.
Right, so my first wife, I left the home because she assaulted me, and I called the police. And then in the book, there's emails of me saying, I'm not coming home because I'm afraid you're going to call the police and turn it around. She writes an email back, I would never lie in court. This is 10 years ago. I would never lie in court. You never harm me. You've never harmed the kids. It's in the book. Straight email, still on the Yahoo server in California. Mm-hmm. She's a liar. Connie, I have in the book also her note saying the demise of our relationship was her hitting me.
Valerie Burke is another woman that she charged you with assault.
Yeah.
She said you choked and slapped her.
Right.
Did you?
No. So she made the allegation. I was arrested, right, taken to jail, and then afterwards had proof, video proof in my house that everything she said was incorrect. And she also, before the assault charge, did a temporary restraining order. So that goes to court first. Once the judge saw the tape, and it's in the book, it's all there, says, you have seen it, but it is, it's all there. It says that she was lying throughout the whole thing, and they dropped the charges.
Do you know any women that don't lie about you?
That's why I wrote the book. I mean, it's there.
Well, Gary supplied us with a videotape of him and Robin having a conversation in bed. Take a look.
It was widely reported that I met her on a website, lured her to Aruba, basically met her there for the first time. It's completely false. I've known Robin for almost 2 years prior to that. We were close friends.
Do you think I say mean things to you? Occasionally I do, because you irritate, you say stuff. You stand me up, that's like the rudest thing you can do to somebody. And I'll give you a little bit of rope, but, 3 times in a row is getting kind of boring.
You can see we were close friends. That's why I provided that to the show.
Did she know she was being recorded there?
Yes.
Why record that? What was your point?
As I said, we recorded, we were consenting adults, and we recorded, that's just a piece of the tape. First piece is intimate, that conversation, and then it ended.
Next, Gary has never taken a polygraph to prove he didn't have anything to do with Robin's disappearance. And he has a reason why. We'll find out when we come back. We offered Gary a polygraph test as a way to eliminate himself from suspicion once and for all. We said we would set up and pay for one of the best polygraph examiners in the business, Jack Tremarco. He denied our offer. Why did you deny the offer?
I think the court of the legal system has vetted me completely. The court of public opinion is out forever, and this won't solve anything.
And what you want people to understand about you as a final statement would be what?
That I'm innocent. And that Robin was swept out to sea to a place that was dangerous, and it should have been reported when they had the suns up before we wouldn't have gotten in the water. I think negligence took her away.
All right. Any final statement that you would like to say?
Yes, I'm here to honor my sister, Robin Gardner. She was a beautiful young woman. She was wonderful. I miss her terribly. And I believe in my heart that you are responsible for her disappearance.
Okay. I want to thank my guests for being here today. A special thanks to Jose Baez for being here and weighing in. Guys, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. So long.